Hello guys, and welcome to my front porch for this episode of Unearth Horticulture. Today the topic is Pups and Such 2.0. I actually have an episode previously that I discussed pups, but this is going to be a better episode. You're welcome to go watch that one if you want to, but there's no point. Anyways, so I am holding this massive Neoregelia bromeliad. If you don't know what a bromeliad is, or if you've never seen one before, a pineapple is technically a type of bromeliad, and air plants also they fall into this family, into this category. But there are also other types of bromeliads you might have seen around at the grocery store. They have these really wacky neon colored flowers in the center of them. Oftentimes those are different types, like there's Gizmania, Tillandsia. This is a Neoregelia. So there's different genuses of, or genera, I think is technically the plural term for that, in this plant family, but they all have a little bit different tendencies in how they reproduce. And the Neoregelias, I find, have a greater tendency to produce pups. And a pup is basically a plant, an exact clone that is produced from the base of the mother plant. And so oftentimes pups occur in plants that have a rosette style growth habit, as you can see here, where they rosette. It's kind of a self-explanatory term, I feel like. But basically what you can do with pups is once they're produced, you can divide them, split them off the plant, and root them in their own pots. And I actually feel kind of fancy, like I'm running a cooking show, but I'm pulling the cake out of the oven. But I have a pup that I rooted about a year ago here. I stuck this one and then this side shoot one that has a pup forming from it right now. And this one's rooted. This one is not, which is kind of unusual because it's producing an offshoot, but you know, plants are crazy and bromeliads kind of follow their own unique set of rules. They're so different from other houseplants. But this one has rooted and it's produced its own offshoot. So you can see that it actually does take quite a bit of time to root pups. I didn't use growth hormone. It might have helped. That was not the experiment I was performing at the time. But bromeliads are unique because of their very specific style of plant care requirements. And we're going to talk about that here. Because bromeliads are considered hemiepiphytes or full epiphytes in nature, where they attach themselves onto tree branches and they are satiated by the rainwaters that fall onto them, they have adapted and have a unique way of catching the rainwater, which is called the cup. So the center of each rosette, there is a cup that holds water. And that is how you water bromeliads. Now, people ask me, can you water at the base like you would another houseplant? Yes, this plant technically has roots there, but if we pop this out, see if I can do this without making a terrible mess. You can see that there's actually no visible roots to the outside of this pot. So basically, the point is look at this plant. It's huge. Yet it is not root bound whatsoever. So it's not like this plant is going to be taking in a ton of moisture through its roots. So while it is nice to keep it kind of moist, you never want the soil to be soggy. You don't want this plant sitting in water. So I strongly encourage you to have it in shallow containers with well-draining potting mix. So some bark mixes or coconut husk mixes work really well for these plants. And then when you do water it, fully water it so that you're getting water into the cups, or at least water into the mother plant. Because while the pups are still connected, they can gain nutrients and moisture from the original mother plant. So that's something to keep in mind. Bromeliads are so different from other houseplants. They're just so wacky and cool. Anyway, so shallow root zone, well-drained bark mixes, and yes, you can pour water into the centers of the plant. Allow for adequate dry down, so you don't want it to be soggy. But because it's in a shallow bowl planter and it's got well-drained potting mix, you may still have to check in on it once a week to make sure that you're satiating its moisture needs, because they're from very tropical parts of the world. I hope that answers kind of your care questions about bromeliads. Now, bromeliads are not the only plants that produce pups. In fact, they're not usually the first one most of us think of. Have you ever heard of hen and chicks? Technically, the chicks to the hen are the pups. And there are other types of succulents. Basically, succulents that have that rosette growth habit, like the bromeliad, they can produce pups from the base of the plant. So this is an aloe hybrid. It's not aloe vera, although if you've had an aloe vera, you know that that plant readily pups. I mean, you start with one, you're going to end up with at least 100 babies within 3 years. Anyways, this is an aloe hybrid, and as you can see, it is a little bit more ornamental, really lovely. It's got a flower spike. This thing does not quit flowering. It has gotten to the point where there are so many pups in this pot that I can't even get water into the root zone anymore. It just rolls off this plant. I have to stick it in the sink and like go with my my sprayer every direction to try to get water in there. It's probably a good thing. It keeps me from overwatering it. But this plant is so ready for me to split off these pups. So that's what we're gonna do next. So I am constantly saving these little 2-inch and 3-inch grow pots because they are like the perfect thing to root succulents in. I have a loose, barky kind of mix since we're splitting apart this guy, and we're gonna see how this goes. Ugh. Very stuck. Very, very, very stuck. Woo! Packed tight. That's nuts. Okay, so now you just have to be really aggressive with just popping these pups off of here. So we're just gonna dive in. When you're breaking apart pups, you cannot be afraid. Don't be afraid. Let me empower you. So here you've got one, and that's like one of the originals. So this one has one pup. Ugh. Two. All right. And then this one has one little pup here on the side. I'm gonna break that off. So 3 extra plants from the original. I'm also gonna clean off these extra crispy leaves because those are also impeding water from getting to the bottom or to the root zone. So now I've got this guy. Four. I think we're on 4. Lost track. 5. 6, I guess. I feel like that's counts as only half because it's little. All right, keeping going, keeping cracking on. So from the 3 originals that I had potted in that terracotta pot, I have 6 babies that I pulled off. So I have 9 total plants that started from 3. This is why I love plants. So some of these I'm gonna put back into this. The mother plants are gonna go into a bigger pot together because they probably need it. And then some of them I'm also gonna put in grow pots, and they're gonna end up on the bus so that you guys can enjoy them yourselves. So gotta get to work. So, pups, they're pretty cool, right? Very interesting when plants clone themselves. It's a very interesting adaptation. Anyways, I hope this episode helped you out, whether you're dealing with succulents or bromeliads or anything else that's producing pups. I hope it gives you the confidence to divide them or enjoy them as they are, as I do with this one. It's just way too cool to split off all those pups. And if you do end up with a lot of pups, make space by giving them to a friend, a plant buddy, because that's what is so cool about horticulture, is sharing it with your friends. Embrace that inner farmer that's in all of us. So drop any questions in the comments below if you have any. Hit like, subscribe, all that jazz. And until next time, you've been watching Unearth Horticulture.